I was working in my study, and I was very amused by my bat presentation here, and it led to a thought that I want to talk to you about today. You can see the beautiful structure of the skeleton in this bat, and I want to talk about skeletons today, and I want to talk about how we can use skeletons just like we use the flowers. Just like we use the orchid flower to make some statements about Darwinian selection and the beauty of the adaptations of the animals depending upon their environment. You can see this skeleton here has been modified with a thin film to provide some wings to have this male fly around like a bird. So again, it's the story of descent and modification. Let's go in my study area here, and again, we talked previously about how the orchid flower had been adapted over immense periods of time to ensure cross-pollination. Well, I want to take an illustration of what the descent modification would look like if it was when it occurred in a whole different family, or a whole different genus, a whole different group of creatures. Now, these are skeletons that will tell the story of how the skeleton. There's an essential structure to the skeleton, but as over thousands of generations, actually millions of generations, if you take the amphibian, and you go from the amphibian to the bird, is chicken, and you go to a rat and a cat, and the one that was in my study was a dog. If you count the bones on these creatures and compare the number of bones and where they're jointed, they're very similar. But if you looked at these creatures, you would say, how could these creatures are so different? Well, they're really not that different. They're modified over time, just like the orchid was, and they become you can transform a fish into man if you have enough time, and there's some benefit to being on land versus being in the water. So if I had a fish skeleton here, I don't have one. It's in my study. You could trace the bone structure of the fins that were modified into limbs, and then slowly went up the evolutionary scale to an amphibian, then a reptile, then a bird, then a mammal, and then a flying mammal. But the beauty of it is it all fits together with the fundamental idea of descent with modification over immense periods of time. Millions of generations led to this change, and books have been written on it. And you can even see that if you take a man's skeleton sitting on a horse, if you modified the man slightly, shorten this, lengthen that, you can see how that man is related to the horse in terms of its skeletal structure. And that's exactly what evolution demonstrates, and that's why it's a very powerful tool to understand the natural world around you. So our lessons will continue. We'll get some different creatures over the next couple of months, make some more little films, and I'll be in touch.